Good morning, everyone. My name is Zhang Jiafeng. This is my group mate, Xu Qiushi, Lu Jiajie, Yu Mingyang, Yan Xingyu, and Zhou Ziyan. Today we are glad to be here to make a short presentation about how Sibana, a Chinese company, managed a British company called House of Fraser. There are totally 5 parts in our presentation. Firstly, Xu Qiushi will going to discuss the microeconomy difference between China and the UK, from politics, laws, economy, culture, and technology. Secondly, Lu Jiajie will going to discuss the culture challenge after Sibana operation. Thirdly, Yan Xingyu and Zhou Ziyan will going to use the knowledge we have learned in our class from half states to analyze the difference between Chinese and British. Thirdly, Yu Mingyang will going to give some evaluation and a proposed strategy to Sibana. And finally, I'm going to make a conclusion for our presentation. Now let's welcome my group mate, Xu Qiushi, to begin his present.
Hello everyone, I'm Xu Qiushi. Now I will introduce the microenvironment of China and the UK. The first, I will introduce the China's and the UK's past. As we can know that China is a socialist country and the UK is a capitalist country. Both of them has a stable political environment. However, Brexit has created uncertainties and political debates. China is the second largest economy in the world by nominal GDP. Cheap labor is a great source for China, so that many companies from foreign countries choose to set their factories in China. The UK has a high GDP and a diverse economy. China is the most populous country in the world, with a total population of approximately 1.4 billion. As for the UK, births continue to outnumber deaths, and the population is expected to reach 74 million by 2039. The population is getting older as well. Next is about technology. There are some big tech companies in China, just like Baidu and Alibaba. However, these companies are so powerful that many big companies from foreign countries have failed in China. The UK is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. As for the environment, with the development of technology, China's environmental problems are becoming more and more serious. However, China's government has taken many ways to address it. As for the UK, economic activities impact on the environment. China's legal is complete. However, with the development of society, there are also areas needed to improve. The UK has a detailed discussion on the legal environment of the country. Here is a picture about the business confidence in China and the UK. We can see that before 2017, China's business confidence is lower than the UK, but after that it's normally the same. The next is about GDP growth rate. We can see that UK is better than China. At last is about the annual GDP. At this time, China is better than the UK. Now I will have a short conclusion about the main difference between China and the UK in the microenvironment. China is a socialist country and the UK is a capitalist country. The annual GDP of China is better than the UK. However, the GDP growth rate and the business confidence is lower than the UK. China has a much larger population than the UK, so it creates more value. As for the technology, both countries are at the forefront of the world at the level of science and technology. The British environment is better than China, and China is harder to manage the environment than the UK. Both both countries have complete legal system. But for the personal income tax, China is lower than the UK. Now it's turn to Liu Jiajie to introduce the cultural challenges.
Thanks, Xu Qiushi. Now I will introduce the cultural challenges. There are three main points: institutional difference, very difference, different in thinking and behavior patterns. Now I will talk about them one by one. Next is the institutional difference. In China, if employees want to motivate and attract the employers, they will give them more working conditions, such as the creating a green workspace and promoting the team cohesion. But in UK, human resource management consider the individualism. They will give, which is general or performance-based reward. That means the harder you work, the greater success you will get. But performance-based reward have a negative impact in Chinese employees. They are more likely creative or hostile emotion and strong frustration. So the CBA now will face a challenge of institutional adjustment. Very difference. Vintage employees and Chinese employees comes from the different social environment. As a result, they have the various cultural backgrounds and the knowledge structure. So when they will have the various thinking and behaviors when dealing with the work. Sometimes they will argue about it. Therefore, the CBA also face challenges of how to deal with the friendly relationship between the colleagues. Difference in thinking and behavior patterns. You can see this picture. UK is account for the 89% in individualism. China just account for the 20%. When the Chinese customer make a purchase decision, they will consider the social public views from their social neighbors, such as the member of family, friends, and colleagues. This is why the Chinese celebrated endorsement are so significant. But in a law context society like UK, individuals are self-centered. They are more likely to pursue the personal preference when they shop, and less concerned about the public views. But interesting is, according to the barometer, Chinese customers are moving away from the traditional high price, and a lot of the young people more concerned about the brands and the trendy, not the lower price. We can see the significant important point. The customers' thinking will change, and the market also will change. We have to do the right adjustment according to the real conditions. Now I'm going to hand out to my partner, Robert.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Obviously, as two completely different cultures, the cultural difference of Savannah encountered in the UK are extremely obvious. But first, we need to know why this differentiation happening. William McNeil believes that the historical change is the contact between the strangers and strangers. He did not focus on the spread of ideas and cultures, but on the effects of cross-regional movements of races and species, which may explain the main differences as a root. Secondly, we need to find a way to solve this difference. Comparative research is the basic way, just like the previous scholar said. To understand culture, we must compare. So we use Hofstede's theory to compare, which can provide an overview of the cross-culture differences between countries from the perspective of cultural value orientation. So using this theory to compare the cultural differences between the China and the UK after comparative analysis, it is found that the cultural differences between these two countries are mainly reflected in three orientation dimensions of power, power, social, and time. So we believe that which can expand the main differences that Stefan will face. So just look in this chart. In power orientation, the relationship between the superior has not been superior, and the subordinates tends to be polarized in China. And the abuse of power by superior has not been effectively very prevented. Obviously, in the UK, the British since the fireplace drives the belief that people should be treated in some way as equals. So, which means the Savannah's manager don't like to treat it to the British employees equally. That is a big issue. So the next is social orientation. Chinese are a highly collectively culture, and people act in the interest of groups and not necessarily for themselves. Personal relationship purview over tax and company. But in the UK, the British are a highly individual and private people. Their children are taught to an early age to seek for themselves and to find out what their unique purpose in life is, and how they can contribute to society. The last difference is time orientation. In China, Chinese are very pragmatic. People show the ability to adopt the traditions easily and change the conditions. A strong focus to save, endurance, readiness, and perseverance in achieving results. The British are neutral. They open to new things but also keeping their traditions also. So according to that, the manager of the Savannah may more like to formulate some long-term tasks and activities to the employees, but the British employees, like private employees, may just not care about it. Okay, so it seems like Hofstede's theory can explain the main differences, but I have just a little short correction for you guys. Is his theory objective? Is his theory absolutely right? So to answer these questions, the next Fiona will make a prism and use another cultural theory to analyze the challenges that Savannah will face. Welcome.
Thanks, Xinyu. Hofstede is not comprehensive because culture is a complex and subjective concept. The Hofstede model ignores the country is made up of different cultures of different nationalities. Said a country with only one culture is not objective. For example, there are 56 nationalities in China. Every nation has different languages, customs, and beliefs. Cannot say are all Chinese, so only a kind of culture. Either in the UK, no matter Savannah or Fraser, there are many cultures in the company. It's not rigorous to analyze the culture of two countries only. Therefore, with the efforts of scholars all over the world, the global project was born and perfected in the cultural theory of Hofstede and others. The global uses the 9 dimensions to construct culture cluster, which are more universal than comparing countries. According to the project, China and the United Kingdom belong to Confucian Asia and the Anglo cluster of cultures, respectively, which are both high-performance orientation societies. The Anglo cluster includes Australia, Canada, England, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, and the USA. The Anglo cluster is characterized by individualistic performance orientation and value gender equality and others. The Confucian Asia consists of China, Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. The cluster society is the score high on the dimensions of social and cultural performance, such as power distance, collectivism, performance orientation, which is mean that spender needs to send staff and further managers for communication and training, so as to adopt different management models and the Chinese market. Of course, the premise is cultural harmony. In general, this is important for spender leaders to value freedom, decentralize responsibility, expand power distance, and value gender equality. So next, please hurry to expand the specific strategy.
Thank you, Zhou Ziyan. Now I'm gonna introduce some relevant strategy to make Savannah companies can adapt the British environment as soon as possible. Obviously, I divide into the three components: pre-elections, localizations, in the cultural activities. Now, no waste of time, let's get it. The pre-elections, that's the first. What that means? This means we remake the materials, UK staff in original company, and help the Savannah employees who come into the UK as first time, tell them some of the local custom, relative skills, and tell they can do what they can't do in the UK, especially in the workplace, because you should daily communicate with your boss, your managers, which gesture could be rude and undesirable, which should be avoided. And the UK local administration should impart some training classes, operation booths to Savannah's management. Because it is positive to Savannah management, that's very helpful. They can be to be the managed, and even they can promote their college acceptance. Now let's take an examples to prove my statement clearly. You guys remember in the first cinemas we talked about Starlight case, right? For the early Japan's Starbucks, the American transfers some professional experts to them to make sure they have replicated a Starbucks experience. This behavior is very helpful, strengthens their early base. So nowadays, they become a big brand of the coffee around the world. Next is the localizations. According to Stephen Evans, etc., 2007 mentioned about the three advantages: improved a product's competitiveness, build a customer rapport, increase the revenues. Enterprise, as we know, the enterprise definitely have distinct relationship with the labor's attitude. So that means you control the labor's attitude, might control the whole company runs. And for examples, we in the Chinese KFC, they have joined some kanji and rice in the breakfast and dinner menus. They're so super for Chinese food habit, but you can't see anymore some kanji and rice in the UK KFC and McDonald's. So fully understand what the other people want. They could be very helpful you to hand out the cultural difference. In the next is the intercultural activities. It could be included brief regions convention, and according to the backgrounds, the Savannah company buy 15 store from the UK company. So they will absolutely become an international company. They will improve some international staff and talents. So we should setting some rules and open some parties, do some group trips to make them to be communicated with other better, stay work to be better with each others. Because you will face some cultural challenges like cultural shock, like maybe some stupid statement like every Chinese, they know how to play Kung Fu, right? Now this is the end of my class. Now I'm going to invite my partner, Zhang Jiafeng, to join the conclusion.
Thanks, Henry. Now it's my turn to make a short conclusion. As my group mate said before, the economy situation and culture has a great difference between China and the UK. If Sibana want to manage a British company efficiently, they still have a lot of work to do before they manage this company. They need to fully understand the working habits of the British labor and the requirement of the local customer. In this presentation, we use the microeconomy analysis method, which we have learned in our class. And Hofstede's survey also provides us a lot of help. With the increasingly of Chinese economy, international business is become a popular topic in across national business. If you want to set up a company in a foreign country, exportation is not the only way. Before our exportation, we have to do more research about what the requirement of the localization. Only by formulating different management methods according to different situations that we can maximize the effectiveness of management. This is the reference list of our presentation. Thank you for your listening.